When you walk into a room full of new people, your brain will either have one of two thoughts. This happens when you meet strangers. This happens when you walk into a barbecue or a party and you just don't know that many people. And it also happens when you meet a new woman for the first time. So every time you have one of these encounters, your brain is going to have one of two thoughts. And whichever thought it chooses to have is going to dictate your behavior that follows. So the two thoughts walking into that room are either A, I hope they like me. I hope these people could see that I'm pretty cool and like I'm a fun guy with a cool personality. Or when you walk into a room, you have thought B and instead say, I wonder if I'm going to like these people. I wonder if I'm going to get along with them. I wonder if I'm going to catch a vibe with this person. Now let's think of A versus B. I hope they like me versus I wonder if I'm going to like them. I hope they like me. That associates with neediness. That associates with not having full trust or belief in yourself. It's very inward focus, saying, I hope they like me. While instead, if you walk in and say, I wonder if I'm going to like these people. That associates with curiosity. That associates with someone who is very sure of themselves. This is outward focused. I wonder if I'm going to like them. Outward focused thinking. Listen, being curious cannot coexist with being needy. And you can't believe in yourself if you don't trust yourself, obviously. So the next question that comes to mind is, okay, well, how do I get my mind outward focused and be in the state of asking itself, I wonder if I'm going to like these people. All it is a state of confidence in yourself. And although it's very simple, it doesn't mean it's easy to do. So how do you fuel the confidence within yourself? Well, that's a good question. The answer to this question and the way for you to be able to do this for yourself lies within these 3 steps. And once you understand the sequence of these 3 steps, you can create confidence. First, you need to understand the science of what the hell is going on and why does my mind work like this? No one is socially anxious by default choice. No one wants to be that way. Next, after you understand the science, you need to learn the systems of confidence and how these systems could either absolutely bury you or bloom you into something beautiful. Then lastly, the solution, how you can leverage these systems to be so confident and so enjoyable to be around. And everybody knows it. Step 1, let's talk about the science. Serotonin. Serotonin is the neurotransmitter inside of us that dictates our mood, attitude, and enthusiasm at any given moment. Your serotonin levels are always influencing your automatic behavior. When your levels are high, you feel like the man. When your levels are low, you feel like a loser. It's very simple. Now let me show you how these play out in your life. When you have high levels of serotonin, you're kind of a bit full of yourself. You're walking around with this like high strut posture without even realizing. And it puts you in this mode that you are not likely to back down when faced with a challenge of any sort. Now, what about if you have low serotonin levels? When it's low, you'll be in this state where even if you experience like tiny amounts of stress, you have this amplified response to the stress. So your heart rate's going to be rising, your anxiety is going to be triggered. It is not a fun place to be in. And as far as experiencing high levels or low levels of serotonin for an extended period of time, this is how life looks. So the longer and more consistent that your serotonin levels are high, your default mode just starts to turn into this guy that's always super confident, has very high belief in himself, a bit full of himself is just naturally how he feels. Versus when you have consistent low levels of serotonin, your happiness is very low or non-existent. Your anxiety is constantly in a high stress state. And outside of having no confidence, it takes a tremendous toll physically and mentally on your body, always walking around with just high stress levels, amplified responses to anxiety. It's not a pretty place to be. So that's the science. Now, as far as the systems of serotonin, very simple. I'll explain in 10 seconds. When you fail to keep promises to yourself, no matter how big or how small, when you fail to keep those promises, serotonin levels go down. The more you do this, the lower they will be. On the other hand, when you keep promises to yourself, no matter how small or how big, your serotonin levels skyrocket. So knowing that is the systems of serotonin. Now here is the solution of how you can overnight build this up into your life. Number one, let's start with your body. Let's say you're out of shape. You don't look good. So as a result, you don't have confidence in your body. You know, why would you? If you take a good look at your body and say, okay, I've thought about it long and hard, and I've decided I can commit. I can commit to 10,000 steps a day. I can commit to 4 times a week lifting weights in the gym. And as far as my diet, I could stop eating in the middle of the night. That I could handle. Now, if you actually do those things, actually do these very achievable goals for 7 days straight, you'll feel hot, you'll feel sexy, because you are finally treating yourself like someone who has an incredible body. And it takes about a week to turn this on and truly feel it. But once it's on, you will feel sexy. And once you feel sexy, going to the gym, getting your steps in, having control over your nutrition, it becomes easy because you enjoy doing it. So that's for your body. Now, number 2, let's talk about your social life. Let's say you're intimidated talking to beautiful women. That means around women, your serotonin levels are low. So of course you're gonna be nervous. But if you stop and say, okay, I am brave enough to say hi to girls. I could say good morning. I could give a genuine compliment. If you say, I could do that 5 times a day, and you do it for a week straight, that's 35 promises you kept to yourself. It doesn't even matter how they went. You kept 35 promises to yourself about approaching beautiful women. Your serotonin levels will now be much higher every time you're approaching women. So we talked about your body. We talked about women. Now, number 3, let's talk about your mind. Reading and writing directly affect your ability to think creatively, intelligently, and just have cool ideas constantly flowing and generating out of this thing. So if you wanted to get confident about your mind, commit to reading 7 pages a day. That's nothing. And maybe twice a week for 15 minutes, you sit down and write. That's it. Within just 1 week, you'll stimulate your mind enough for it to go, okay, I like this feeling. I do want to keep doing this. And all of this just circles back to keeping promises you make to yourself, being trustworthy to yourself, and not just liking, but truly loving yourself. So now back to the 2 versions of yourself walking into a room full of new people. The first thinking, I hope these people like me, versus the second who goes, I wonder if I'm gonna like any of these people. When you have an incredible relationship with yourself, you have every reason to feel confident. You have a tremendous amount of self-validation. You trust yourself, and for that reason, your thinking is outward focused instead of stuck in your head, inward focused. When you're outward focused, you have a sexier presence. You can be more charismatic. You physically look more attractive to the people around you. Versus being inward focused, shoulders slouched, a tornado of thoughts in their storm of what everyone else is thinking. It's not a healthy nor sexy place to be. So boost your serotonin levels in order to be someone who can be fully outward focused to the world around them.